Here we go, part 2. All right, I'm going to ask you 2 questions, and then we'll kind of get on to talking about the step work and what that means in your life today. So, first one is, were the drugs ever fun?
In the beginning, but it didn't last long. I thought it was fun. Check this out. I thought it was fun before I used them. Because I would see, my uncles shoot dope and they had a big smile on their face and they're happy. And I was like, man, that looks like something I want to do. But when I actually started doing it, it wasn't that fun. I used to, when I was a kid, I would get high and I'd always say, I'm not going to do that again. Until they show up with more drugs.
Yeah.
But I think the pot smoking was fun. That was a lot of fun. Getting drunk was always fun. I was a happy drunk.
Okay.
I get
That
drunk.
surprises me.
Yeah, I was a real happy drunk.
Not like an aggressive, angry drunk.
No, because I was aggressive normally.
Yeah.
So, it's like this. If you're a calm dude, you will become aggressive. If you're an aggressive dude, you become a funny
Well, I'm not. I'm quite aggressive, and not so much now. I've got the program in my life, but I'm aggressive. And when I drank, it made me more aggressive.
No, I would be the total opposite.
But I didn't like drinking. Like, that helped me because I didn't like...
Yeah, what's funny? I never liked doing drugs.
Yeah.
I never liked it because it made me... I wouldn't always get the effect that I wanted. I just wanted to escape. But I didn't... Like, I would fucking trip on acid and be like, why the fuck am I doing this? Like, what the fuck, man? I'm stuck to a wall or shit.
Yeah.
And wondering, like, what the fuck, man? My hand is melting into the wall and crazy shit. And I'd be like, why am I doing this shit? Like smoking PCP. That used to...
What's PCP?
Angel dust.
What's angel dust? Tell me about that. I don't know what that is.
It's horse tranquilizer is what it is.
Oh, ketamine. We call that ketamine.
Ketamine.
In the UK. Ketamine, yeah.
Well, that shit...
I've never done that, yeah. It never appealed to me.
that shit here, PCP, and that takes you to another world.
Okay.
It slows your everything down. You ever see the old movies that it flashes?
Yeah, I know.
That's how everything seems.
That's how life seemed.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like it's all flashy and shit. And every time I smoke that, I will always say, I'm never gonna do that again. I'm never gonna, until somebody shows up with it.
It's funny because when I recorded the podcast the other day with Amber, she said ketamine, PCP was her drug. If she could pick any drug to take, it would be ketamine. That was her favourite drug of choice. I never tried that because I'm a control freak. And to take something like a horse tranquilizer that knocks you out, like there's no control there. So I'm out of control. It's like ecstasy's the same, MDMA, like I didn't ever want to be out of control, so I never tried them.
I liked it.
Okay.
But I didn't like it.
Yeah.
I liked it, the idea of it, but when I was under the influence of it, I was like, oh man, like here I go again.
Yeah.
The same thing when I would do an acid trip. And the weird shit, I didn't like good trips, I liked the bad ones. The more horror, the better it was. It's like, man, that shit was fucking great.
Why? What?
Because what I've learned over the years is that I was trying to get as close to death as possible without actually killing myself.
Yeah.
And that was my credo. You know what I mean? I wanted to get there, and experience what it's like to fucking die without dying.
Yeah.
And that was my mission.
I get that when I come on planes because I fly quite a bit, and whenever the plane's coming into land, I don't want to die. I've never felt suicidal. I've never tried to commit suicide, and I don't want to die at all. But when the plane's coming into land, it's always in my head. How great would it be if the plane crashed? And it's weird. I can't understand that.
It's a fantasy.
Yeah, but I can relate to what you mean. Right, so we'll stop talking about the drugs. That's done. You said just before we took a break that your disease is active today in other areas of your life. You said with women. Tell me about that.
Women. I used to say that I had issues with women. What I found out
is that women have issues with you.
Well, that too. What I found out is that I have issues with myself. I just took it out on women.
Okay.
You see, so I would blame them because, of course, you're not going to accept responsibility for your behaviors, especially bad ones. But then over time, I had to get honest about that. My sponsor kept telling me, like, you need to get honest about that. Like, you intentionally go out there and know that you might cause harm, but you do it anyway. because I don't suffer from denial. I told you I suffer
Yeah.
from refusal. I don't look at it. I don't want to take a look at the part I play in things a lot of times. And, you know, people think that, you know, if you got all this time that you should know consequential thinking and all this shit, and sometimes you don't. Sometimes you're not thinking about that. You know, it's like so much things that occurred over 30 years in recovery. I'm not gonna remember everything. You know, I'm gonna forget a lot of that stuff. And you know, when situations come up, I'll be like, oh man, damn, I went through this shit like 8 years ago. You know, and I forgot.
Deja vu.
Yeah, I forgot what the consequences were. You know, so I go through that kind of stuff. You know, the issues with women, thinking that I'm Rico Suave or whatever the fuck, you know, Papi Chulo or whatever, and but that's all a front. It's all. I think it has to do with acceptance, because I go through that with my children's mother now. I want her to accept me for who I am, not for who she thinks I am. You know, and it's like, yo, look at the real person I am, because in real life I'm totally different from what people perceive me to be. Because I mean, before you met me, you had this idea of who I am, and then you meet me, and it's like, wait a minute,
Yeah.
this is a fucking different. Who the fuck are you? You know?
So I just said that to Danny when we just made a coffee and chatted for 15 minutes there. He had a smoke and stuff, and I said that to him. I'm like, I can't believe how calm you've been on the podcast, because every time I've heard you speak in the last year, you've been manic as fuck. It's been loud, like loads of swearing, and really passive aggressive when you swear,
Yeah.
when you speak about things. And I'm surprised to meet you face to face that you're so calm and
More
and
relaxed.
intelligent, because that's like, you don't come across as unintelligent when you share, but the language that you're using with me in a conversation is very, very different. You're articulating.
Do you know what do you know what I used to do for a living?
No.
I used to be a professional proofreader.
Ah,
Believe it
okay.
or not.
Okay. And reading's good.
Yeah, I was a professional. I used to get paid to read, so
Yeah.
I'm
They-
I'm
they are-
very check it out. Very proficient in the English language.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I don't try to sound like I'm a smart dude.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't when you
I
share,
don't.
but
I
you
don't.
are. And
Yeah.
yeah. It
Yeah,
didn't
I'm a very
surprise me.
intelligent
It
person.
didn't surprise me because I knew you were a smart guy. I can tell you're a smart guy by the way you share, but you're articulating very, very differently here than what you do
Yeah.
on the Zoom
Yeah.
meetings that I've seen.
Yeah,
how we
Zoom
don't
and
know each
Zoom
other.
I'm like I'm getting your fucking attention.
And even when we spoke on the phone any time in the last year, you've been like you have been on Zoom, not like you have been now. So to be in your company is very.
Yeah, it's very different.
Yeah, it's very humbling because you're a very different person than what I thought you would be.
Yeah.
I can see. Like, I'll be honest with you, don't take any offence at this, but when I hear you share, sometimes I think, how the fuck's he got 30 years in recovery and he's still sharing like that? He's still talking like that. Like, that's not 30 years of recovery. But then we sit down here and we talk for an hour and I'm like, whoa, blown away by.
Yeah, because like I told you earlier, it's about looking into the camera and getting that newcomer's attention. And sometimes you have to say, you have to say some profanity for them to get their attention. If a newcomer hears me say fuck 10 times in 1 minute, it's gonna grab their attention.
Because that's what they can relate to.
Yeah, exactly. It's like when I go to H&I share a certain way.
Yeah.
There's a certain way I have to share to them because they're just off the street. So I got to get down to the street to meet them at where they're at.
Yeah.
When I'm in a book study meeting, I'm sharing different.
Yeah. Like this.
Yeah.
And that's the attraction rather than the promotion of this program. Yeah.
And it's funny because when I be in a meeting and I attract a newcomer and he wants me to sponsor him, right? And then when we sit down, he's like, this is nothing like I thought it would be.
Yeah.
I thought you'd be cursing the whole time and blah, 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 and be all up in my face. And you're so fucking calm and you're like, yeah, this is how it is and blah, blah, blah. You know?
Yeah.
It's like, I'm a student, so, I want to share the knowledge that I have with other people. And the only way to share knowledge, you see, is a difference. I can share knowledge with you as an adult.
Yeah.
But if I'm sharing my experience, strength, and hope, I'm going to go street.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Because you have to relate to it.
Yeah.
You know?
Like, nobody knows, like, the two people that have the best knowledge of the literature that I've ever met are yourself and my sponsor. Your knowledge, like if I phone my sponsor with any kind of problem, he's like, right, page 98, go straight to page 149, or
Yeah, I used to be that dude.
pick up guiding principles and let's go to 220. And he's fucking right off the top of his head, and he knows where we're going, he knows the literature, he knows.
Yeah, I used to be that.
Like he's not quoting the page numbers, but he knows exactly where to look. That's what I mean by that. He's not giving me a page number.
When I sit with somebody and they talk, I go, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Read that.
Like he doesn't give me advice or suggestions. He gives me quotes from literature that relate to exactly where I'm at and what I need help with.
You know what my sponsor does? Tells me what to do.
Okay.
I gave my sponsor permission over 10 years ago. I told him, you know what? Stop giving me suggestions.
Yeah.
I said, tell me what to do.
I did exactly the same with Alex.
I said, tell me what to do because and my sponsor has less time than me.
Okay, that's interesting.
And,
let's talk about that in a minute. But yeah, tell me what he said.
He always yeah, I fucked up. My sponsor, what were we talking about?
Orders. You're
Yeah.
taking orders.
My sponsor, I told him, I said, look, I'm tired of your suggestions. Tell me what to do because I still don't know how to live.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm a work in progress. Because if I start thinking that I know how to live, guess what? I stop living. Now I know everything.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't ever want to be that guy that thinks they know everything about recovery.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, I think it's in the second step in the step working guy. It says, do you think you know enough about recovery? And it's like, no, I don't. Because I always say in the Zoom meetings, the moment I think I know this shit, they come out with a new book.
Yeah.
You know, and I've got shitloads of books.
It's a big pile of books. It's like in our Cox Anonymous library. Let's talk about literature then. Like, what did the 12 steps mean in your life today? Because you obviously worked them multiple times. Like, do you still do that?
This is my third time going through 12 steps.
Okay.
I shared with you
That
earlier.
seems low to me. For 33 years here, to be doing them a third time seems low.
My last fourth step took 3 years to get through it.
Okay.
Because
The fourth step took 3 years.
Because when it comes to my recovery and the literature, I'm dead serious about it.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to rush it.
Okay.
You know, you hear me talk about microwave recovery.
Yeah.
That's what's going on in the rooms now.
Okay.
People are microwaving their recovery. If you take a piece of bread and you microwave it and you let it sit for a minute, what happens? It gets really hard. That's how your recovery will be. If you microwave it, it'll become very hard because you're not letting it marinate.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? You're not ingesting it and letting it simmer inside you and really comprehend it. What's this really about? So I take my time, and 3 years sounds like a lot, but it's not really a lot compared to 33 years.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, and I still have my fourth step open because I'm on a fifth step now.
Okay.
But I keep my fourth step open because shit happens. And, you know, they say more will be revealed. And sometimes something happens and I'll be like, oh shit, I didn't cover that in my fourth step. I'm going back and I'm going to write on that shit.
Yeah.
You know? And yeah, I do that all the time. And my sponsor's like, this fucking guy, would you get through the fucking fourth already?
So what's the difference between the fourth step that's just taken you 3 years and the first time you did the fourth step?
The first time my fourth step was about drugs.
Okay.
And about me finding out the good in me. Right? The second time I found out that I'm not the monster I became
Okay. What do you mean the monster you became?
in recovery. Because I made so many mistakes by the
Okay.
time I did a fourth step. So I was kind of fearful that I was gonna find out that I'm this fucking horrible person. But I wasn't. I had some horrible shit that I did,
Yeah.
but it wasn't all bad and it wasn't all good. And the literature even talks about that. We're not all bad and we're not all good. And I didn't understand that at the time. I've read it, but reading something and comprehending something is two different things. You can read, you know, people read the preambles all the time. Do they actually comprehend it?
I didn't for many years.
Yeah.
I thought they were a pain in the ass. I would sit on my phone in meetings, on Facebook while they were reading the preambles. If I was going in there, I'd pick a chair that didn't have one on, or I'd pick the Who is an Addict because it's the short one. And I didn't listen.
Yeah.
I've heard it before, I don't need to listen. But now that I've heard them, like I've heard those cards more times now than I've ever heard them before, and they mean something different to me every single time.
Yeah.
They relate to where I'm at every single day.
And, you
They've got
know,
a different meaning.
they say the most important part of the meeting is the beginning of the meeting. when they read the actual program. Because the sharing is just sharing. But when they read the literature, they're reading the program. They're telling you, hey, this is what it is. This is how it works. You know what I'm saying? This is why we're here. Right? And so on and so forth. You know, and that's important.
It says in the literature, in the cards, the newcomer is the most important person at any meeting. I didn't understand that for a long time.
You know what I always say in the meetings? I say, the newcomer is not the most important person because they're special. The newcomer is only important because I need them there so I can keep what I have.
That's what I was getting to. My sponsor explained that to me. He said they're only the most important person because they're what keeps me clean today.
Yep, that's why they're important. Not because they lick windows and wear special helmets. No, it's because I need them there. They're special to me because if they weren't there, I wouldn't be able to carry the message.
Yeah. And if there was nobody to carry the message to, you'd be in trouble.
You can't keep what you have.
Yeah.
So they're the most important person for that reason only. And I hate when people say the newcomer is the most important person and they try to treat them special. They're not special because the first tradition, right? Anonymity means that we're all equal. The guy with 1 day clean and the guy with 100 years clean, they're both the same. The guy with the PhD and the guy with the associates and the guy with the GED, they're all the same. You know, that doesn't matter because we're all the same, and that includes the newcomer and the old timer, and the no timer and the sometimer. You know, so we're all equal. So you know, they're not special, and people get that twisted. They think that saying means, oh, we gotta treat the newcomer with kid gloves. No, you gotta get on their ass and tell them work this fucking program. You know. And that's the difference between what I see and what I do. Because I don't treat a newcomer any different than a guy with a couple
See,
years.
that was something that I noticed when Zoom meetings started on COVID. So for me, recovery on Zoom in COVID is completely different to what recovery was face to face.
Yeah.
Like, if it wasn't for Zoom, I don't know whether I'd be clean, because I was in the rooms of Narcotics Anonymous for 10, 11 years, and I didn't have the attraction where I lived that I got. Like, as soon as I logged into Zoom meetings and saw people like yourself from all over the world, like, I remember hearing you share on maybe the second or third day I was in a Zoom meeting, and I'm like, whoa, what the fuck did I just hear? Who is this guy?
Yeah.
And I heard my sponsor share, and I'm like, fuck. And I was like, I want some of that. Like, I want what they've got. If they can do it, I can do it.
I think Zoom was a blessing. You know, it's like COVID happened and then the world stopped, but we didn't. We continued searching for the next one. You know, because we're addicts, we're always searching for the next one. So we had to step it up and go to a different level. Like I tell people, I know some people that don't do Zoom. Like, oh, it's the meaning to the meeting. I said, no, man, it's an enhancement, bro. It's just another tool. You know, Zoom is not my life. I go to regular meetings too, you know, but I do a lot of Zoom meetings because it enhances my recovery. Because now I get to hear, you know, that person in Venezuela, you know, that person in New Zealand, the person in Aberdeen.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I get to hear that. Where if COVID-19 didn't happen, I wouldn't have that opportunity.
Yeah, it was a blessing.
Yeah, and I think it's in More Will Be Revealed or What Can I Do? One of those. It talks about we have found that something can be a blessing. I can't fucking remember the quote, but you know, we find that a circumstance that we think is a curse, we find it as a blessing. So although the world stopped, Narcotics Anonymous moved on. I said, you know what? We need meetings.
Evolved really quickly.
It really evolved.
Yeah.
And you know, guys like us, you know, that started Zoom meetings. You know, I started, I don't know how many fucking Zoom meetings, you know?
Yeah.
Or got involved with groups that started and still do service in groups and things like that. Like we all stepped up. It's like, yo, we need fucking meetings, you know?
I'd never done service work, Danny, in 11 years because it didn't interest me. I didn't want to do it. I was there in meetings, but I did not do service work for 11 years.
Well, I was H&I chair in my area on 2 different occasions. I started doing H&I service when I had 6 months clean. So I was always involved in service. I started a couple of groups. I helped to start an area, you know, so I was involved in service already. So you know, being of service in Zoom came naturally because I was already used to doing service, you know, and it was like, this is just another service position.
Yeah.
You know, let me serve and let me, you know, because I have recovery. So I have to keep it and in turn share it with others. You know, let people say, hey man, I got a fucking shot at this. You know, and yeah. So that's that.
Yeah, that's that. Yeah, I hadn't done service at all. And then when I saw these Zoom meetings and the people in there, I was like, I want to help. I want to get involved and help. And created the meeting that we created, which has then led to this. And the enhancement to my recovery in doing service work is unparalleled. It's absolutely like getting the sponsor that I have and doing the service work that I do has just changed my life.
Yeah. And you know what's happened for me is that, you know, my phone went from being a national phone to being an international phone.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I got contacts from all over the world now. People
You've travelled the world though, in conventions.
Yeah, but I
shows,
never took numbers.
No.
You know, back then we didn't have cells. You know,
But you've spoken all over the world.
Yeah, I've shared in different places around the world. Yeah, and that was quite a great experience actually. But back then it was a different time, and I was still learning.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I didn't have a whole lot of experience. I was just grateful to be at a fucking meeting.
Yeah.
You know, no matter where it was, you know, I was just grateful to be there. You know, and now it's different. You know, now you know, if I had the opportunity to travel the world, it would be a totally different experience. You know what I mean? But I'm grateful, man. And if you never did a world convention, you need to make it.
I haven't. No, I've never done that.
They got one in 2 years in Washington, D.C.
Yeah.
I'm going to be there. I went to the World Convention, and can I share this story with you real quick? World Convention in Philadelphia, 2013, right? I'm walking down the streets of Philly. I see this big white dude, right? The guy's looking at me, staring at me. I'm just walking. The guy, I get close to the guy. The guy says, hey, is your name Danny A? I'm like, oh, fuck. Fuck, this guy knows you. I've never seen this guy in my life. I said, yeah, my name is Danny A. He says, yeah, I know you from the internet. I said, really? He said, yeah, I've heard you share on the internet. I was like, wow, like really? The guy was from like Idaho or something. I don't know where the fuck he was from. Wyoming or some shit. I don't know where the fuck he was from, but big country dude. The guy says, didn't you just celebrate 25 years? And I said, yeah. He said, I got something for you. Went in his pocket, pulled out a 25-year pink key tag and gave it to me in the street. I fucking started crying, man. I hugged the guy and I just started crying. I was like, wow, like that's a fucking miracle. Mm-hmm. This guy had a 25-year fucking key tag in his pocket with my name on it. And it just so happens I was walking down that fucking street. I was like, wow, that's a fucking miracle.
Synchronicity is massive in recovery. Like the last year when I've been really working this program, the amount of synchronicity that I have on a day-to-day basis is unbelievable. That leads us on to talk about higher power then, because synchronicity and a higher power link. You mentioned God a few times in the first half of the podcast.
And I believe that there are no coincidences. Everything is meant to happen the way it happens. You know, the God of my understanding, not only does He put people in my life, He'll take people away from my life. You know, there was a time where I would run with a bunch of guys. It'd be like 15 of us, and we'd fucking hit all the meetings all over upstate New York. Go to Rochester, Albany, Buffalo, Schenectady, all these fucking places. And I go to speaker jams and conventions and stuff like that. Today is different. Today it's me. Mm-hmm. and one other guy, my best friend. Me and him hang out all the time. But I've gotten to a point where and not to say that I'm better than anybody, but sometimes you grow spiritually and the people that you're with are not growing. And I remember a guy told me that I stopped hanging out with. He said, man, you changed. I said, no, I didn't change. I said, I grew up. I said, there's a difference. Mm-hmm. I fucking grew up. I said, you chose not to grow up. You know, and I had to not hang around him anymore. Because I've learned that if you're hanging around people and they're not conducive to your recovery or they're not feeding you spiritually, then you shouldn't be around them. You know, and today, you know, the people that I surround myself with are people that feed my spirit, people that encourage me, can say, hey man, you ain't gotta do shit like that. You can do this, and that's what I look for now. I look for somebody that's gonna be an asset in my life. And it took a lot for me to get there, because I felt like a sense of loyalty to some people because we hung out for 10 years.
Yeah.
But they refused to keep it moving. If you stay stuck somewhere, I'm sorry, but that's where you're at. But I want to keep moving forward.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have to, God will take people out of your life. God will put other people in your life. I believe that wholeheartedly, that God does for you what you can't do for yourself. He'll take somebody and dispose of that person. If the person's becoming a problem in my life, eventually God will remove that person. And that's been my experience with people that I've hung around with. It's like the old saying, show me who you hang out with and I'll tell you who you are.
Yeah, show your friends,
Yeah.
show your future. There's a great saying that, one of my favourite sayings, and I relate this directly to my recovery. It's not a recovery saying, but I direct it to recovery. It's if you hang about with 4 millionaires, you'll really quickly become the 5th millionaire. If you hang about with 4 bums, you'll be the 5th bum before you know it. And I think that with my recovery now, like I was I was hanging about with the newcomers, and that was the only people I was hanging about with, because I didn't see the attraction locally in the people with the clean time. And as soon as Zoom started, I started hanging about with you and the other people that had 20, 30 years clean. And I got clean, and I got recovery in my life, and I worked the steps, and it changed my life. The therapeutic value of one addict helping another. The attraction was there.
I was sharing that in a meeting the other day. I was saying, if you're a newcomer, don't hang out with another newcomer, because all you're going to talk about is using. Because that's what y'all know. Hang out with somebody that has experience and ask questions. I tell people all the time. I was sharing this morning actually in a Zoom meeting about, when I sponsor somebody, I'll give them at least 30 days of why. Come to me and ask me why this, why that. After 30 days, you better start asking how.
I like that, yeah.
Because, it gets old.
Yeah.
And, if you're saying why, it's because you're questioning everything.
Yeah.
If you say hi, how, you're asking for help.
Yeah.
How do I do this? How is this possible? How did this happen for you? Instead of why is this happening to me?
Yeah.
And because I was there too. When I first came around, everything was why. Why do I have to stop smoking weed? Why do I have to do this? Why do I gotta go to meetings? Why do I need to read the literature? Because I didn't know. But after a while, I started asking, how do I do this? How do I work a first step? How do I incorporate the principles in my life? Things like that. And it's important, give the newcomer the time, his why time. But after a while, you gotta put a stop to it and say, look, man, if you wanna learn, you gotta ask how. That's the only way you're gonna learn. I can't learn something asking you why. I'm gonna learn if I ask you, how do you build an engine? You're a fucking master mechanic, right? How do you build that shit? I wanna learn.
You want to learn? Yeah. Show me the way. Like I see it now. That I always thought it was too difficult to get clean. I always thought it was the hardest thing in the world to do, and it's not. It's fucking easy. And all I had to do to get clean was start doing what clean people did. I had to say to you, what do you do every day? I had to say to my sponsor, what do you do every day? And other people that had 5, 10, 15, 20 years clean, what do you do every day? And the thing is that stood out for me is you all do the same as each other. Like, I could ask 5 people with 20 years clean, what do you do every day to stay clean? You'll all tell me pretty much the same thing.
Yeah.
So what do you do to stay clean?
Yeah. What do? I wake up in the morning, I pray. I thank God first. First thing I do, I thank God for another day. What I've learned is that every day clean is another day past my expiration date. So that alone gives me gratitude. A grateful addict will never use. The literature says that. So I gain a sense of gratitude in the morning. I say my prayers, I do my meditation. When I meditate, I lay in bed, I stay quiet, I quiet my mind, then I get up. When I'm totally quiet, I have no thoughts in my brain, then I get up and start my day, and I tell myself, every day, I do this every day, this is what I do. I tell myself, you're gonna get high one day, it's just not gonna be today. And I've been doing that for 30-something years. Every morning I tell myself, you're gonna get high one day, but it's not gonna be today. And what that does, it keeps me in the moment. It keeps me in today. Because we're addicts, we're always thinking about tomorrow.
Yeah.
and we're always regretting yesterday. So when I say I'm gonna do that, it helps me stay centered on today. What am I gonna do today? You know, and I have a plan. You know, it's just like I don't leave my door unless I'm going somewhere. You know what I'm saying? If I don't have a destination, I don't leave my fucking house.
Is that because you're still worried that at 33 years clean, that if you're in the wrong place at the wrong time?
No, it's because it's become a routine for me.
Yeah.
It's like, where the fuck am I gonna go? When I leave my house, it's either to a meeting or to the store. And I got everything I need in my home. I got my literature, I got my DJ equipment, you know, I got my fucking TV upstairs, I got food, you know, I love cooking. You know, that's another thing I wanted to talk about. When I got here, I didn't know what I liked. I didn't know what my favorite color was. You know, I didn't know what my favorite food was. If you would have asked me when I first came, I would have told you rice and beans, because that's all I ate growing up, rice and beans. You know what my favorite food is?
Puerto Rican.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what my favorite food is?
Steak.
No.
No?
Lately. Lately a bit. But I like Indian food.
Okay.
I like curry chicken.
Yeah.
I like roti. I like all that stuff. You know, fried okra. I like all that stuff. Fried spinach with shrimp. You know, Indian food with curry. That's my favorite.
And you didn't know that
I didn't
for
know
so
that
long.
because I never explored. I never looked into other cultures. It wasn't until I got clean I saw the diversity of our fellowship
Yeah.
that I was like, hey man, what the fuck is a Thai restaurant? I always see them. What is that like?
Yeah.
Let me go in there. You know?
Just learning how to live.
The closest to culture I went was a Chinese restaurant.
Yeah.
That was it. There was one on every fucking corner in New York. You know? But yeah.
Italian pizza. I'm sure you have plenty of that.
Yeah. You know, but that's just like staple shit.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't know what Russian food tastes like, what Greek food tastes like. I didn't know any of that. Mediterranean food, I didn't know what that tastes like. I didn't know what fucking feta cheese was, you know, because we didn't grow up eating that stuff. You know, and I started exploring and taking a risk. Saying, you know what, I'm gonna order this. I don't know what the fuck it is, but I'm gonna order it. You know, and you know, that's what we do in recovery.
Like when you're in the dope house, if somebody has a new drug, you're gonna try it, no questions asked.
Yeah. Oh, now that you say that, I used to be the guy. If you come up to me and you hand me a pill and say, "What is this?" I'd pop it and say, "I'll tell you later."
Yeah.
I used to do that. I didn't know what the fuck I was popping, but I'll let you know later what it was.
But no questions asked. You try anything. We put anything in our bodies.
Yeah, and then you know.
But we turn our nose up at trying a new food. Yeah.
Yeah. You learn to try new things, you know. And that's why I get mad with some newcomers when they come in and they forget the desperation that they had. Because they ask you to sponsor them, or they hear you share and they get angry at you because you're sharing some stuff that's turning their stomach. You know, they're like, oh, he fucking think he knows everything. No, I don't know everything, but I've got 32 years of knowing.
Yeah.
That counts for something, you know, and you know, I've gained experience. I was telling you earlier, when I first came in, they told me, sit down, shut the fuck up. Right? They said, we share experience, strength, and hope in here. You have none. You know, so I took that to heart. What I did, I sat up front. My first sponsor told me, when you sit up front, you close your fucking eyes and you open up your ears. And I did that. I sit in the front with my eyes closed and I just listen to the message. And I didn't share for 3 years, man. When I had 3 years clean, my first sponsor told me, you know what? It's been 3 years and you haven't shared in a meeting. You have 3 years of experience, now you can go share it. And I started doing that. The only time I would share, if someone asked me to speak on their behalf on a celebration, or when I was doing H&I.
Okay.
That was the only time I shared. In a regular meeting, I didn't want to fucking share. I wanted to be quiet and become a sponge and absorb that stuff. You know, because you can't learn something if you're not taking the information in. You know, and a lot of times I see that with newcomers, they're not listening. They're hearing you, but they're not listening. You know, and then they wonder why, you know, they can't get this because they're not listening. You know, they're just hearing the words. And you know, I think that Narcotics Anonymous nowadays is way different from what it was. You know, there's no respect.
There's more. Sorry, did you say more respect?
No respect.
Okay.
No respect for the person with time.
Okay.
Because you know, and that's just my shit.
So I hear this in the rooms a lot. So let me ask you, like, people say a lot in the Zoom meetings now, like, all that we have is today. Whoever woke up earliest has the most clean time. Tell me what you think about that.
That's a bunch of crap.
I hear it a lot, and I don't agree with it.
My clean time started the moment that I stopped using drugs. The next day. So, you know, you don't have more clean time than me because you woke up at 4 o'clock in the morning. No, you've just been awake longer than me.
Yeah,
That's the bottom line.
for one day. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that I don't like to hear. I don't like to hear it gets better because it doesn't always get better. Right?
It's not a promise.
I don't like to hear meeting makers make it. Meeting makers make meetings. Step workers make it. Because you're not gonna stay clean just going to meetings and not working a program. I know people that have 20 years and all they do is go to meetings. They're still the same person they were when they walked in the door. And they make meetings. They make a lot of meetings. So meeting makers don't necessarily make it. You know?
Yeah, meetings are just a small piece of that pie.
Yeah, it's you know, I go to meetings, you know, I hear people say I go to meetings so I don't have to get high today. No, I could stay home and not get high today. For real. I go to meetings to get spiritually centered. I go to meetings so that I could get a sense of hope. You know, I go to meetings so I can learn some information or get a different perspective on something that I already know. See what I'm
I
saying?
like that. I like that.
Yeah, that's what I go to meetings for. I don't go there because I don't want to get high. I don't have a drug problem. I have a Danny A problem. I share that shit all the time. My problem is the disease of addiction. It's not a drug. You know, and when people start to understand that you know, just because it says Narcotics Anonymous, that's just to get us in the door. The name is just to get us in the door. You know, but once you hear, you find that it's not a drug program. It's a program for people who suffer from the disease of addiction. And if you're addicted to sticking your thumb up your ass, then that's your drug of choice. You know, and I tell people that all the time. You know, you could be addicted. I know a guy that used to go to meetings. He never got high a day in his life. And I said, "You never got high?" He said, "Yeah." He was celebrating clean time. I said, "So why the fuck are you here?" He said, "Because the disease of addiction had me angry." He ran with anger. He was one of those kids in and out of foster homes, in and out of, you know, these little what they call group homes and shit like that. The kid that breaks his room door, that smashes the window, never got high a day in his life, but his anger was so out of control that he was addicted to that shit.
So you're saying the Narcotics Anonymous program would work to overcome any addiction?
Of course.
Okay. So what's the difference then between Alcoholics Anonymous, Narcotics Anonymous, Cocaine Anonymous? What's the...
Okay, the other fellowship for me. This is my.
And we can talk about that. We're not endorsing it because it's
Yeah.
not an NA meeting.
my opinion on that is real simple. I don't suffer from a disease that I ingest. You know, if you go to Alcoholics Anonymous, they're suggesting that, you know, if you don't do this particular drug, that you're in recovery. Cocaine Anonymous, the same thing. They don't want to hear that, you know, that you shoot dope. They want to hear what your cocaine problem is.
Yeah.
See, Narcotics Anonymous, we talk about all drugs are inclusive. And that includes anger, rage,
Food,
razor blades,
sex.
gambling,
Yeah.
all these things, food. You know, they have food, they have Overeaters Anonymous.
Yeah.
That saying, what they're doing, we can do in Narcotics Anonymous. What do we say? Put a step on it. You're going through some shit, put a step on it. You know, gamblers could come here and stop gambling. Abusers could come here and stop abusing. People that cut themselves could stop cutting. You just change the fucking word. I'm addicted to this behavior. I'm not addicted to the razor blade. I'm addicted to the behavior. You see, and that's the difference. You see, we deal with behavior. We deal with beliefs. We deal with emotions. Whereas other fellowships are dealing with a substance itself. And that's not realistic for me. You know, I tell people all the time that people that say they're clean and sober, they're an addict and alcoholic, I tell them straight out, I say, look, if you go to the doctor and the doctor says, "I'm sorry, Mr. Dick, but you're HIV positive," would you in your right mind say, "Hey, can I get some Hep C with that shit?" That would be absurd.
Yeah.
But people are saying, you know, I'm an addict, and I want the disease of addiction of alcoholism on top of it.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Why add to it
Yeah.
instead of taking away from it? See, so that's why I don't agree with a lot of that stuff, because, you know, I heard that said before that, you know, why are you adding on when it's hard enough to recover from the disease of addiction? Now you want to add another disease on top of it. 'Cause it's a different disease.
Keep it simple, stupid.
You know? So, you know, I'm glad that I know the difference. You know, we have a serenity prayer at the end, and what does it say? The wisdom to know the difference.
Break that down for me. Break down the meaning
Okay.
of the serenity prayer.
Okay. I need to be cool with what goes on. Except the things I cannot change. I have to be okay with that. Right? I have to gain the strength inside me to do what I must do to make things better. Right? The wisdom to know the difference. Sometimes the wisdom to know the difference is whether I keep my mouth shut or to speak up.
Yeah.
And that's the easiest way of saying it. Or the wisdom to know the difference between a drug and the disease. You see, because I thought I had a drug problem when I got here. I thought that was my only problem. You know, we were talking about that earlier. I was upset about, you know, I can't drink, I can't smoke weed. Are you fucking kidding me? My problem was crack and heroin, right? But the difference, I had to learn that it's not about the drug, it's about the disease itself. And when I started researching what is the disease of addiction, you know, the first question in the Step Working Guy says, what does the disease of addiction mean to you?
Yeah. Yes.
Right? What it means to me is that fucking thought that I've had since I was a child, that I'm not good enough, I'm never gonna be good enough, and I need something to escape from. Right? And then once I escape and I find that escape, now I can't stop doing it. The obsession and the compulsion. And I learned that through time. You know, in time I started learning. I didn't know this shit when I got here. It took me fucking 30-something years to you know, people say, wow, I love the way you share. It only took me 30-something years to learn how to share like this. I wasn't coming in here good sharing ass. I was like, yo, my words was like bajando and flaco and just chipping and give me a nickel bag. You know, that was what I knew. And I had to learn all this shit, you know, through time. You know, how to speak the language. You know, some people say, oh, it's all the same. No, it's not. You know, language is very important for this addict. It's very important.
It tells us something in literature. The language that we use is very important.
It's very important because I don't want to mislead somebody.
Yeah.
You know, because then they're gonna think that it's okay to do this and do that because, you know, nobody broke it down to them.
Yeah.
Nobody told them the real truth of what we're doing here. You know, and language is very important. It's the most important thing of the literature is language. You know, like people don't know, like AA doesn't want NA people in there. They want pure alcoholics in there. They don't want addicts in there. That's why we have Narcotics Anonymous for addicts. You know, and I feel that, and I tell people all the time, you hiding out.
I've heard you say that. You're hiding out in the
with this
cop
protection
out.
program and shit.
Yeah.
You know, because they get discouraged with the realness of what Narcotics Anonymous has to offer, that they rather go and get pacified in another fellowship. Because in there they get pacified. Oh, he's just an addict, just leave him alone. He's going through some shit, let him have it. You know, where Narcotics Anonymous, yo man, sit the fuck down, bro. What's wrong with you? You know, and that's the truth. And I've seen that with my own eyes. People go to the other fellowship, they act a fool, and the old timers they be like, oh, just leave him alone. You know, he's an addict. You know, he'll be all right. But they ain't fucking with him. You know what I mean? They ain't trying to show him something. They just leave him the fuck alone.
Yeah.
And then Narcotics Anonymous will grab you, oh man, what the fuck is wrong? Come here, bro. Let me talk to you. You know, I've seen that.
A hug.
Times.
Come and have a hug.
Yeah.
How good's a hug?
Yeah, I love a hug, man. You know, and you see, I
hated that
that's all.
first.
Yeah, I fucking hug you.
Like I hated it at first. Like when I came in as a newcomer, like I might as well have written "fuck off" on my forehead to get people to stay away from me.
I was the same
hated
way.
it, man.
You
Hated
see,
it.
when I came into the rooms, I had distrust of men because I was abused by men.
Yeah.
So when I saw guys hugging each other, I was like, oh, there's some faggoty shit going on here. What the fuck, man? Like I've been dealing with this shit all my life. You know, gay guys trying to come on to me and blah, blah, blah and whatnot. And here these fuckers are hugging, but I didn't understand, you know, the therapeutic value of a hug.
Yeah.
I didn't understand that, you know, and because I used to be the guy that'd be like, oh, don't fucking hug me, man. And you know, it's funny because now if I'm somewhere and I go to hug a newcomer and he pushes me away, I fucking laugh.
I just hugged them tighter.
No, I laugh and I'd be like, yo, I get it, bro, I get it, because I was you at one time. You know, that's fucking hilarious, man.
Let me ask you, you've got a 37-year-old daughter,
Yeah.
and you've got an 8 and a 9-year-old daughter. Tell me the difference between the first 8-9 years of your 37-year-old daughter's life and the 8-9 years, the last 8-9 years. Tell me the difference as a father.
The difference as a father, I left my daughter, my 37-year-old, when she was 9 years old. When she was 9, I had 5 years clean when me and her mother split. They lived in Brooklyn, well, I lived in Brooklyn, and I moved upstate. And I would see her in the summertime only. So I wasn't really a parent. And while I was at the home, I wasn't really there. I would see her in the morning when she was still sleeping. And when I get home at night, she was still sleeping. So I only saw her when she was sleeping. So I didn't have much of a relationship with my daughter, you know. And I had more of a relationship with her when I was active,
Okay.
you know, in her first 2 years of life, because her mother left me when my daughter had 2 years old, and I didn't see my daughter until she had 4 years when I got clean. So I didn't have much of a father-daughter relationship with her until she was 13. When she was 13, her mother sent her to me. She got robbed in Manhattan. This group of people robbed her, and they beat her up. And her mom said, "That's it. I'm sending her upstate with you." And
Up to here.
yeah,
Where are we again? Elmery, is that right?
Elmira.
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 It's beautiful.
It was in Binghamton.
The drive was beautiful up here.
New York State is
Wow.
beautiful. A
Yeah.
lot of people don't get it.
The last 2-3 hours driving up here, just the trees, the mountains, the lakes, the river, it's stunning.
Yeah, farms.
Stunning, man.
You don't believe that they have farms up here?
No, I didn't know. I'm from farming country in Aberdeen.
Yeah, they
but
got fucking alpacas and llamas
Oh
and
man,
donkeys.
this was
and all that
probably
shit.
the nicest drive I've ever had coming up here last night.
It's very
It was
nice up
amazing.
here.
So tell me about your relationship with your daughters now compared to
Okay, so I didn't have much of a relationship with my older daughter until she was 13, and then she rebelled when she was 15 and got pregnant, and then she had a child when she was 16.
Okay.
At 16, she moved out, so I don't have much of a relationship. I still talk to her. I love her. She loves me. I love my grandchildren, but there wasn't really a father-daughter thing going on there.
Yeah.
Now my two little ones, I raised them. You know, I took care of them. I took care of their mother. You know, their mother was bedridden when they were born, so I would have to take care of their mother and take care of them, take care of the dogs, take care of the house. So I built bonds with them that are different. I was actually a parent, you know, because I wasn't much of a parent with my oldest daughter. As a result of that, she's got daddy issues, you know, and it's no wonder that she has, you know, three different children from 3 different fathers,
Okay.
you know, because she was looking for, you know, her dad, and they're all older guys, you know, and I realized that I played a part in that, you know, but my young ones now, like they adore me, man, like
I can vouch for that.
I'm a part of their life, you know, I'm a strong part of their life, you know, and even though me and their mother don't always get along, like I still manage to see my kids. I still manage to find a way to be with my kids, you know, even if it means going to their house and staying there for weeks, you know, and but I do what I have to do to be a parent, and I tell my kids I'm not your friend, I'm your father, because they want me to be their friend, you know, they're like, oh, you're the best daddy, you're the coolest daddy in the world, and I'm like, yeah, I might be all that, but I'm not your friend, I'm your father, and I'm very strong on them, like I'm a disciplinarian with them. I don't mess around with my kids. Like when I say you're not gonna do that, you're not gonna do that. You know, and you know, I get that thug look on them, and they're like, "Oh, don't mess with daddy." You know, but it's good. It's a really good relationship that I have with both of them. You know, they're both daddy's girls. You know, and they love me, and you know, they, of course, like any kid, they want to see their parents together. And I be a realist with them. I tell them, look, your mommy and daddy are not going to be together. You know, like face the fact. You know, I would never lie to my children.
Yeah.
My 9-year-old is very, very intelligent, very intellectual. I mean, their mother's very smart.
She is.
She's a freaking. This lady takes out textbooks on freaking physical science and shit like that. For real.
She's
like
very
she does.
clever and very funny.
And very fucking bright. And I'm you know, I don't profess to be a smart dude, but I'm a very smart person, you know. I don't like to portray that in the rooms. You know, I dumb it down a lot. You know, I really do. I dumb it down a lot.
Are you putting on that mask? I mean, you said that you like to use profanity and whatnot so that the newcomers can relate to you on that level, but is there also an element of putting on a mask there? You don't want people to know who you really are?
No, you know, it's because I've been hurt so much in the fellowship that I have to keep my guards up with people. You know, you've heard my story. You know, my second ex-wife, she left me for one of my sponsees. You know, I've been stabbed in the back so many times, but I refuse to stop going to meetings. I still go to meetings, you know, but I'd be very aware that not everybody who goes to Narcotics Anonymous is in recovery. Yeah. And, you know, that's just a sad fact, you know, and I'm a realist, you know, I don't fuck around, I don't pull punches when it comes to my recovery. I know what I'm up against when I go to a meeting. I know that not everybody's my friend, you know, just because they pat me on the back doesn't mean that, you know, they're gonna lend me $100 and shit later on. It's not gonna happen. You know, that's why I never see, you know, I hate when I hear people say, I love you, I love everybody. Nobody told you they love you, I love you. That's a crock of shit. Because how the fuck you gonna love everybody? I don't love everybody. And I sure as hell know that everybody doesn't love me. You know, I know some people despise me, some people hate me, you know, because I'm a brash, arrogant person. And I know that, you know, and that's what I want you to know. That's what I want you to think about me. But when you meet me in person, it's like, oh, what the fuck, man? Who the fuck is this guy? Where's Danny at? What'd you do with him?
Yeah.
what
room is he in?
Yeah, what the fuck is this? The real Danny A here?
Yeah.
And that's been my recovery all along. I've always been that way, you know. When people meet me, it's like, man, you're fucking night and day, bro. You know, and that's just, you know, because I've been hurt so much that like I shared in part 1 about. I'm gonna get you before you get me. Mm-hmm. So I'm gonna throw you off first. That way you don't have the opportunity to hurt me in the rooms. And I say but I still share a message. Yeah. You know, and that's what's important. You know, it's not about the persona. It's about, do I carry the message? Am I effective when I'm in a meeting? Do I get the newcomers' attention and make them pay attention to what I'm fucking saying? Because that's important. And that's something that I learned in the rooms. Like, you gotta get them to fucking listen to you. You know, because you know what? I was attracted to those guys. You know, the guys that would fucking curse. Oh man, this guy's cursing. Oh, he must be from the street. You know, I like this guy. You know, and it's just persona. You know, I'm actually a very intellectual person. You know, the real me is very intellectual. You know, like I said, I used to read books for a living. That was what I did, you know, and so yeah. But I don't like to portray that because, you know, then people will take advantage of me or try to. He's a dork. He's a fucking dweeb, you know, when I'm not, you know, but, you know, being smart doesn't make you stupid. You know what I'm saying?
I know exactly what you mean.
It doesn't make you stupid, you know, it doesn't make you that fucking guy that you're gonna take advantage of. You know, and I had to learn that because, you know, when I first got here, I knew I was smart. You know, I was the guy that would never go to school until the end of the year and take the test and fucking pass. I was that guy, you know. That's how I got through fucking high school. Never went to class. I went to the test, you know, and always fucking passed without fucking studying, you know. But now I study literature and you know, I don't intellectualize it. I take it for what it is. I absorb it, and I find the most practical way to apply my life to it. That's the formula for me that works. You know, let me apply this shit, you know, and I don't make excuses for who I am, and I don't apologize for who I am to anyone. It's like, you know, this is me, and if you don't like it, it's too fucking bad. You know?
I want to touch on one thing before we finish. It's not something we've spoke about at all in the podcast, but it's something I know about you, and I think it's really interesting. we've got 5 minutes left, so you can squeeze in as much as you can about this. But you said right at the start, your father was an addict on dope, and he was abusive towards you. He beat you up and whatnot. I know that relationship with you and your father went full circle. So tell me how.
Okay, this is what happened. My father one day called me and said, "Hey, I need you to come to the house. I need to talk to you." He had been clean for a little over 2 years at the time. When he first came into the rooms of Narcotics Anonymous, he heard me share for the first time in a meeting, and his jaw dropped. He could not believe that it was me up there sharing. He knew I had a lot of clean time, but he didn't know my story. And he told me, he said, "I need you to come here when he had 2 years clean," and he said, "I want to talk to you." And he told me, he said, when he first came around, he asked me to sponsor him, and I said no. And he said, "But I need you to teach me how to live. This is my father." He wanted me to teach him how to live. I said, "I can't do it because I got issues with you, based on our history. The last time I had a fight with my father, I busted his head and gave him like 16 stitches in his head. It was that kind of relationship, So anyway, he asked me to come to his house, and when I got there, he said, "I want to share my story with you." And he shared his story with me, and he explained everything, in his life. And it helped me to understand why he was the way he was with me. Because he was only giving what he got. So what he was dishing out to me, he got as a kid. And he started using when he was 9. I started using when I was 7. So I could relate to him. And by the time he finished his story, he made an amends. I didn't realize he was working the 9th step.
Okay.
I didn't know that at the time he was on a 9th step with my sponsor. Because my father became my sponsee brother. Because when I told him I couldn't help him, I sent him to my sponsor, and my sponsor took him on. So my father was actually my sponsee brother. And by the end of the conversation, me and him became best friends. I started loving that fucking guy that day. I hated that man all my life. I despised him. I didn't want nothing to do with him. I hated him for all the shit he did to me, and all the shit that I did to him, he hated me. And we became best friends. And 3 months later, on Thanksgiving morning, my mother found him dead. He died clean with 2.5 years clean. He had a smile on his face when he died. Now I gotta jump back. Okay, 2010. This was in 2015. My father died. 2010. I went into cardiac arrest, and they had to bring me back. When that happened, I went to to our area, and I bought an infinity coin. Those who don't know, infinity coin is when you die clean, and they put this coin in your coffin. And I used to carry that coin around. When my father died, nobody got him an infinity coin. And I had carried that coin for 5 years in my pocket. So I said, I'm going to give this coin to my dad. When I went to the coffin, it fit exactly in his head. Like he was waiting for that fucking coin, right? And in the fucking coffin, I could see him, and that motherfucker was smiling. Oh, no. And he had a smile on his face, and I was like, wow, like he fucking knew. He knew that I was gonna give him this shit. And that's the miracles. And what my father taught me was, number one, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. Number two, if you come to Narcotics Anonymous and work the program, you can change your obituary. Because if he hadn't gotten clean, nobody would have showed up at his funeral. The funeral home was packed to the rim with recovering addicts. There was more recovering addicts than there were family members at his funeral. And that was the miracle that happened with me and my dad. And with that,
we're almost there. We've got 1 minute, 20 seconds, Danny. Are you happy? That's my last question. Are
yes,
you happy?
I'm very happy. I'm glad to have met you, my brother.
Thank you, man.
Thank you.